Good morning, friends. I had my microphone muted and did not realize it for a minute, but we are on track now. Hope everybody's doing good. Thanks for jumping in here. Before we start in on the Mackenzie and Dom text, I've got to show y'all something hilarious. I was actually going to make a standalone video about this, but I just haven't really had the energy to edit videos lately. I've just been going live instead, trying to get my strength back and my energy back, and then I'll get back to editing. But so friend of mine who still lives in Southwest Missouri, those of you who've been here for who joined me for the Gypsy Rose stuff will know that I'm originally from Southwest Missouri, from the Ozarks area, born and raised. Well, there was an incident in Southwest Missouri the other night that was so funny, y'all. It cracks me up. Good morning, Mika. Let me bring up this video to show y'all. Okay, so I have told you guys before about the Kimberling City area of Southwest Missouri, where the hollers were flooded back in before the 1950s. That was all farmland. My family, my ancestors had farmland there, and the land was taken by eminent domain by the government to form the lake. So a lot of generations, myself included, being born in the 80s, the lake had been there for 30 years. We don't know anything different than always having that lake. Well, apparently this guy was speeding and heading towards the Kimberling City Bridge across the Table Rock Lake, and cops started trying to get him to pull over because he was speeding. Let me show y'all what he did. Oh my God. The car's still rolling. And there he goes, like a frog. Like a frog.
Contact water patrol. He just jumped over the bridge.
The cop sounds so irritated. It's like, he just jumped over the bridge. Get water patrol. Yeah, look, friends, the car is still rolling. He never fully stops it. So he's still rolling. He's taking his shoes off. What on earth?
Contact water patrol. He just jumped over the bridge.
Now, apparently this dude has, he's born and raised in the Kimberling City area. He's a local. He's probably been jumping that bridge his entire life, because I can't imagine, unless he was, extremely high, I can't imagine anyone jumping off that bridge in the dark head first who isn't fully familiar with diving off that bridge. It's hard for me to imagine. There have been, battery drones and stuff go down to the bottom of the Table Rock Lake Dam and video the fish down there. There are massive, giant catfish and all kinds of stuff, not to mention the machinery of the dam. Nobody's going to jump off that bridge, I don't think, in their full mind unless they're experienced. Anyway, I just had to show y'all that. It is so crazy how it went national, like Inside Edition and all kinds of places did stories on this. But yeah, he went right off there like a frog. Head first, feet up. Okay, friends, let me switch over to the text messages and we will get started on what we're all here for. Just a moment. But I've been laughing about that bridge jump for over a week, meaning to share it with y'all. It just cracks me up. Also, it kind of makes me wonder, like, if they were just trying to pull him over for speeding, what was he so worried about that he was willing to dive straight off the bridge? Oh, man. You check comments real quick. Okay, we don't have anything. Hopefully we actually don't have anything. That's not just my browser not wanting to refresh. So yesterday we got to the 28th on their text, and it was kind of weird. It seemed like they were getting to a point of they'll have like 2 or 3 days of no fights, and then all of a sudden like it just kind of blows up. Like they can't control themselves anymore. They can't hold it in, can't hold it back. Mackenzie starts begging to come over, and Dom starts getting full of rage again. Rainbow says, my YouTube keeps pushing the live back 30 seconds. Yeah, I think I'm having some refresh issues on my StreamYard. Bruce says, probably drunk or illegal. Yeah, apparently his tags came back fine. Like I said, he's a local there. He's not an immigrant, I don't believe. But yeah, I don't know what his deal was, but he went head first off that bridge in the dark. But anyway, so we're on June 29th. And like I said, they've been having a couple of days where they manage no fights, and then it blows up. So let's see where they're at now. Dom starts off the 29th at 10 a.m. and says, good morning, babe. What you doing? Mackenzie says, hi, babe. I just woke up. I'm trying to get my mom to buy me Cloud V. Dom says, I seen that, LMAO. Who you think it is? I don't know what they're talking about. Mackenzie says, honestly, no clue. That's some shit we would do. Dom says, LMAO. Mackenzie says, what you doing, babe? Dom says, Blair here. I'm going to Trevor's sometime after 3. Mackenzie says, what y'all doing? Can I come before you go to Trevor's and leave when you're about to go? Or we can just hang after too? I'm at the lake with the kids. Yeah, she talks about being at the lake with the kids a lot. And I wonder if that is the daycare kids or what? Because, she was getting rides from the daycare moms a lot, but like, I assume it would have to be her and her mom taking the kids to the lake. I don't know. I hope at least Natalie is there. And it's not just Mackenzie with children at the lake. Rainbow Ribbon says, can a man just want to swim randomly? Yeah, in the middle of the night off the big ass bridge. Oh man. Yeah, he just felt the need for a swim just as the police were closing in. That's all it was, right, Rainbow? Rainbow says that's a haze vape according to Google. Oh, okay, I didn't know what that was. So that means she's comfortable asking her mom to buy her vapes. Did Natalie take her plant grandbabies? Well, I believe Natalie was running a daycare. That's some of the, the daycare moms and kids she talks about sometimes. Dom says, do your best, Maddox. Yeah. Okay. Mackenzie says, bruh, want to go swimming? Bruh, I asked Morgan and Lexi to hang. They said tomorrow. Then they both chilling and they didn't invite me. Dom says, what's up? Mackenzie says, are you at Trevor's? Babe. Dom says, I'm with Smeesh. He's getting me woods, but we're probably going to go to Jared's at one point when I get back from Trevor's. Mackenzie says, can I come with you? To Jared's with you? Babe, answer fast. Dom says, maybe, I don't know. Mackenzie says, you said we can hang after Trevor's. And did you see what I said about Lexi and Morgan? Dom says, yeah, just don't hang with them. Yeah, I'll see if you can come. Mackenzie says, well, now I have nothing to do. Thanks, babe. Dom says, me and Sheen talked about Kristen. I think we're going to tell Kyle. What did Kristen do? Mackenzie says, what does he think about it? He don't fuck with her either. You really got to be careful how you word this convo. What happened with Kristen? Does anyone know in the chat? Hey, Miss Hi-Fi, I'm glad you made it in. Hey, Z Raven girl, good to see you. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with Kristen and them. Amos says, hey, Ribbons, my stepson is on your side of the Irish Seas, working in Carrick-on-Shannon. Man, Ireland, that's one of my bucket list places to go. I love Irish history. I have a lot of Irish ancestry when I did my DNA test. Okay, where was I at? Okay, yeah, Mackenzie says, you really got to be careful how you word this convo. Dom says, he just said, yeah, true, let's talk to him. Mackenzie says, oh, damn, well, when you going to Jared's? Babe, can you please answer me fast? The show. Dom says, I don't know, because as she's driving me. Mackenzie says, driving to Jared's? I can just sit in the back. You know what? Never mind. If you don't want me to come, tell me right now. She sent those 3 within 1 minute. Dom says, I was just saying I don't know when we're going, but okay. Mackenzie says, oh, that was bitchy, by the way, babe. I'm just saying. What you doing now? You left me on red, by the way. Dom says, I'm at Trevor's. Mackenzie says, I need Bud. We're back to that. For about a month, I think, in these texts, she's managed to not start hollering about needing Bud every time they have a fight, but I think we're back to that. Mackenzie says, I'm really upset right now. Dom, you usually don't ignore me, but I don't know why you're doing it today, especially when I say I'm upset. Dom says, why are you upset? I was rolling a blunt. Mackenzie says, Pinky might die, but he has to stay 2 nights in the hospital because he has pneumonia. Dom says, guinea pigs don't live that long. I'm sorry, but if he does die, it's always meant to be. Wow. Mackenzie says, they could live 7 years, sad face. Dom says, you can't expect to hold on to him forever is what I'm saying. Mackenzie says, I'm going to be so sad if Pinky dies. Dom says, how old is he? And Mackenzie appears to give up on talking to him about that because she says, when are you leaving Trevor's? Dom says, soon. Mackenzie says, I don't know, to be honest. Can we hang out when you leave? Can you pick me up? Dom says, I'll see what I can do. Mackenzie says, you've been at Trevor's for so long. You said we could chill after. Dom says, not that long. Mackenzie says, you said we could chill after. Dom says, okay, I'm going to leave soon, but then I have to go get fireworks. Mackenzie says, can I come? I'll stay in the car. Bib. Dom says, yeah, you can come. I'm out the shower just waiting for Shmish. Mackenzie says, okay, I'm coming. Where are you at? Babe. Dom says, I texted Ashish. He didn't answer. They have masks. Mackenzie says, we coming. Do you want us to come? Where are you at? And that's the last of their texts on the 29th. They must have actually met up after that, because after that, they go into the next morning. Hey, Perfectly Imperfect, glad you made it in. They say, I'm walking and baking while I make chocolate chip cookies. Nice. Oh, waking and baking. Nice. That's even better. Oh, man. Rainbow says, pie. Amos says he'll be working all day, so probably won't notice rain is typical here in Wales. We're needing some rain at the moment. I'm having to water my plants a lot. Okay, on the 30th, Dom texts Mackenzie first at 10:49 a.m. He says, good morning, babe. Mackenzie says, good morning, baby. How you sleep? I keep cramping really bad. Dom says, pretty good. Mackenzie says, I woke up in pain in the middle of the night, but I slept good. Dom says, probably them Dippin' Dots. Mackenzie says, honestly, probably not. I just really get cramps sometimes. It's because of birth control. It really fucks with people. Dom says, oh. Mackenzie says, I feel better now. Dom says, that's good. Mackenzie says, also, I got to tell you some of Jen when you have a sec. Dom says, you want to call me back? Mackenzie says, I will in a sec. Dom says, I have to do runs at 3. Want me to come soon? Mackenzie says, yeah, sure. I can come on runs with you. I want to hang out for a little bit. Dom says, well, I was going to go to Trevor's. I don't want to be rushed. Mackenzie says, if you don't want to bring me, it's all good, babe. We can just hang out when I'm home tonight or tomorrow. But also, did you figure out a price? Dom says, I will. 1 sec. Mackenzie says, okay, BB. Dom says, be gonna be here in 20 minutes, so I'll probably stop by, give you the carts real quick. Mackenzie says, okay, let me know when you're here. I need 6 kisses, so when you drop it off. You left me on red, by the way. Thanks, babe. You're really the best. Want to hang out? Dom says, I just got to Trevor's. Want to a little later? Mackenzie says, yeah, I'm about to be home soon. Dom says, bet. Mackenzie says, when you leaving? Bae? Dom says, soon. I only been here an hour. Mackenzie says, okay, BB. Dom says, you want me to pick up? Mackenzie says, yes, right now. Dom says, soon. And Mackenzie says, okay. And that's the last of their texts for the 30th. We go into the 1st, July 1st. I'm wondering if they're going to manage to keep the no fight streak much longer. Hey, Kung Fu Panda. Glad to see you in. All right. Okay, what's everybody think? They going to fight on the 1st or no? 1 yes, 2 no. At 6:32 on the 1st, Mackenzie texts Dom and says, I'm still sketched out. I want to cuddle you. And it kind of hurts right now. And I can't go back to sleep. Dom says, we'll cuddle soon. Mackenzie says, okay, babe. Then at 11, she says, what you doing? Dom says, just woke up. Mackenzie says, I did too for a 7th time. Want to swim today? Okay, I just talked to Lexi, and like, of course, when she texts something in the group, people answer, like, did y'all forget my mom, the one who bought the effing house? What is she talking about? Anyway, Dom says, screenshot the group chat and let me see. Mackenzie says, I will. Like, see how they answer for Lexi, but just ignore me? Like, honestly, WTF. And Kristen just peeps the group and says nothing. Dom says, do you want me to say something to them? Mackenzie says, bruh. Dom says, add me back. Mackenzie says, I honestly am not effing with Morgan. She's being such a bitch. Dom says, right now, right now. Mackenzie says, remember, I'm unadded. Dom says, add me to the group. Mackenzie says, okay, just did. You're really the best, Dom. Thanks for always having my back. I don't know why Morgan was being so shady for real. Bruh, I really am not effing with Morgan. LMFAI, you called it. Dom, Lincoln has him on Snap and said yes. Dom says, bet. Okay, so it sounds like Dom went into a group chat and defended Mackenzie. I'm shocked. We got some ones in the chat. Y'all think they are going to fight for sure? I mean, that's the most logical conclusion. We did get surprised a few times yesterday. Hey, Shiny Lamb 666, good to see you. Happy to have you in here. Okay. Dom says, bet. Mackenzie says, when y'all doing it? She's like, let me know. I'm ready whenever. This convo getting heated. Dom said, Lincoln ready whenever? We might have Levi do it. Mackenzie says, yeah, LMFAO. Who's Levi? Dom says, where does she want us to send him? Jared's homie. Mackenzie says, oh, well, Lincoln lives in Medina and Griffin has her added. And I thought you were taking him to Trevor's. Dom says, well, figure it out. Mackenzie says, do you have Lincoln's snap? Dom says, I'm not sure. Mackenzie says, I'm going to send it to yours. Dom says, I'm still mad about them being disrespectful. Mackenzie says, me too, to be honest. They act like it's us causing drama. Dom says, yeah, hell nah. Mackenzie says, right, Morgan texted after all mad, and I was like, it's not our fault. Dom says, this is about to make me not F with any of them anymore, besides Chris, because he's the only one who didn't do anything, and Lexi, because she didn't do anything either. Mackenzie says, and why is Devin agreeing? And Lexi, cool, she tried to help. Dom says, but the rest are being COCKS. Like F. Morgan and Kristen and Sheen. Oh, he's mad at Sheen too? Mackenzie says, Kristen is sick AF right now. She texted me, and I agree. Mostly Morgan, to be honest. Then about 3 minutes later, she says, I just talked to Morgan and she apologized. Dom says, cool. Mackenzie says, okay, what you doing, babe? Dom says, waiting to get the title switched to my name. Mackenzie says, for the Mazda? Dom says, mm-hmm. Oh, I guess he got, did he get a different car from the Jag? I'm confused because right after that, Mackenzie says, that's good that you getting your plates. Did you find a car you like? Babe. Because like he already has the Jag and he was looking for someone else or something else, another car, but now she's talking about a Mazda. Like, what's going on there? Let me check back to comments real quick. Rainbow Ribbon says, bet. Tempered Iron says, I'm going to hear that all day. LMFA, ooh. Oh, man. Tempered Iron is my husband, by the way, y'all, otherwise known as 1970s, for anyone new in here. Hey, Ange Staples, good to have you in here. Says 19, I love the way you say it. LMFA, ooh. Amos says he's defo not going to understand cramps. The group drama is going to piss him off soon enough, and she'll be on Dungeons and Dragons. That's right. Kung Fu says, I feel the cold steel about to arrive. There's a few people who never commented before, but they're clearly, watching and enjoying, just not joining in the chat. And by the way, hello to all you out there who are watching and not joining the chat. Love to have you join in the comments. But a few people have let me know I'm doing it too much. It's getting annoying. So We'll still do it. I'll just try to, hold myself back a little bit. I love Reno 911 and Patton Oswalt. I could probably do a whole show just playing their clips and laughing at them. Okay, let me switch back to here. Okay. Mackenzie says, "Did you find a car you like? Babe, do you think you're going to be free before it gets chilly? Because if you are, we should swim. Baby." Dom says, "I don't think so." Mackenzie says, "Damn, sad face." Dom says, "Sorry, babe." Mackenzie says, "I want to hang with you during the day. Me and Maddie going to the beach." Bruh, Lexi asked me to hang and if my mom can watch the baby, and then they just uninvited me and said, "Never mind, we going to Chris." Like, no, my mom can't watch your baby. Okay, so I scrolled ahead in the text and was reading ahead yesterday after we got off live while I was eating my lunch. And they're talking about a real baby. Whenever they were talking about the baby before, we were surmising that perhaps it was just her talking about the plant babies because she was calling her marijuana seedlings babies. But no, so her friend Lexi had a baby with Dom's friend Shmish that he's always talking about. So, like, yeah, this is a real infant that is running around with these people. Ugh. Hey, Cherokee girl, good to see you in here. For real, for real. Rainbow Ribbon says insipid is such an underrated word. It really is. And you know what? Even though I know what it means mentally, like I can't put it into words. Let me Google real quick because why can't I brain out that definition, y'all? Insipid's definition: lacking flavor, lacking vigor, interest. Yeah, just kind of like apathetic, just bleh, whatever. Merriam-Webster says insipid means weak and implies a lack of sufficient taste or savor to please or interest. Yes. Bet. Oh, man. Amos says, "Why do I love the pronunciation of the name Shmish?" I don't know, but it's kind of got a ring to it. Okay, let me switch back here. Dom says, "Say I'm going to the beach, and no, you can't hang out with me just to have my mom watch the baby." Mackenzie says, "I'm just not going to answer. Not worth the drama, but like that's really annoying." Dom says, "Yeah, just leave her on open." Mackenzie says, "I did. What you doing now?" Dom says, "I just got home. I think I'm going to go out to eat with Kyle soon." Mackenzie says, "Where are you guys going?" Dom says, "Probably Square 22. Mackenzie says, "Oh, that place isn't that good." Dom says, "Yeah, it was the place we went with him. I liked it." Mackenzie says, "Yeah, I know. I really don't F with it that much. Can you hang before you go?" Dom says, "Aren't you going to hang with Maddie?" Mackenzie says, "We have no ride, so I can't." Dom says, "Maddie don't have car yet? I thought she had her license." Mackenzie says, "She can't drive till next month." Dom says, "Oh." Mackenzie says, "Yeah, so I'm stuck doing nothing." Dom says, "Get a ride to the beach." Mackenzie says, "From who?" Dom says, "Anyone who drives." Mackenzie says, "I don't know a lot of people that drive, barely any. Babe, can you please go to the beach? You, AJ, me, Addie, Maddie." Dom says, "I told Kyle and Trevor I'd chill with them." Wait, I thought he was having a big talk with Kyle. Okay. Sorry, I had to get a sip of coffee, friends. Dom says, "I told Kyle and Trevor I'd chill with them. I'm bailing on 2 people." Mackenzie says, "Please, BB." Dom says, "Which one?" Mackenzie says, "The one we all went to. We really want to go. Me and Maddie have so much fun there. We want to swim. It will be really fun." Babe, reply. Also, please don't decline the call if you're not going to text me back. I'm waiting for an answer, LOL. Dom says, "I was in the middle of texting someone." Mackenzie says, "Oh, okay. Well, are you coming, yes or no?" Dom says, "No." Mackenzie says, "Because we really want you to." Oh. Dom says, "Maybe. Hold up." He sent those within the same minute. No, maybe hold up. And then in the same minute, Mackenzie replies, "Like you can bring Weird Kyle if you want, but you also have to bring AJ." And Dom says, "No." Mackenzie says, "I want to go before it's not hot enough to swim. We really need to know. AJ is down." Dom says, "I can't go. I'm meeting Kyle at Square 22 and then going to Trevor's." Crap, I scrolled too much and lost my place. Whoops. There it is. Mackenzie says, whatever, Dom. Dom says, what? Mackenzie says, we both know you said you were taking me to the beach. They wouldn't care if you didn't go with them. You always choose them over me, but it's whatever. And Square 22's food is ass. Then you just stop answering. Thanks, Dom. Dom says, they were already on the way. And Alette, and you know I don't like being on my phone so much. Mackenzie says, I'm really mad. I haven't even chilled with you during the day in like a week. Like you chill with them so much. Like you, for real, always choose Trevor, whoever it is, over me. Like we could be having so much fun right now, but no, you choose weird Kyle over me like you always do. Dom says, I haven't seen Kyle in like 2 weeks. Mackenzie says, I don't really care. Then you're just going to go chill with Trevor and you're there almost every day. It's so annoying. I'm sick of having to wait till night to hang or to be told and then wait and get a no at like 7. Like, F this. I'm about to not F with Trevor or Kyle at this point. Like, I swear, you don't know how frustrating this shit is for me. And I know I called you just now. I guess people just want to do me wrong today. Crazy. You're the third person to. WTF. Yeah, okay, Dom, yell at me and made me feel worse. Like, that's so rude and immature. I told you 50,909 times today that I had a hard day, and you still decided to just yell at me. OMG, if you're on D&D, I'm going to freak out.
Dungeons and Dragons. I live in a world of cold steel.
Hey, Pippadot, good to see you in here. Let me check chat real quick. Rainbow says, I wonder what makes Kyle weird. Yeah, it's a good question. They call him that a lot. And then Dom and Mackenzie were talking about how they were going to have a talk with him about Kristen. I don't know. It's so weird. Let me scroll up and check comments real quick. Make sure I didn't miss anybody. Sometimes I realize I've missed someone in the chat and I feel bad after it's done. Nick Meehan says, I crack up every time you say bet. It's so funny because I've heard so many people here in New York say it exactly like you are. Oh, that's so funny. That's awesome. Thanks for being here, Nick Meehan. Good to see you. Oh, no, you're still not getting your notification, Pippi Dot? I hate that. Well, I'm glad you made it in. Ann Staples says, a real baby? Here I am thinking just give it a little fish fertilizer in a sunny spot. And they practically grow themselves. Yeah, the Lexi and Shmish people have a baby, and that's the baby they're taking out. Like, ah. Amos Hi-Fi says, it's coming. The argument is coming. Oh, yeah, we've hit it. They are there. Cherokee Girl says, I bet 1980 loses IQ points reading this. Tipper Dyer says, Cherokee Girl, maybe, but she's still smarter than me. Oh, I don't know about that. Oh, man, you guys are funny. Okay, let me switch over to their fight again. Hey, DSD. Say, I caught alive. It's 12:44 a.m. and I have to work tomorrow. P.S. 1980, I'm an OG, just quiet. Well, hey, it's good to see you jump in the chat. Thank you so much, and appreciate you watching even whenever you can't jump in the chat. Awesome to have more people say hi. Okay. Now that we did D&D. Also, I got to point out, it's so weird. Mackenzie chooses the weirdest random numbers whenever she's telling Dom, like, trying to express that something's happened a lot. Like 50,909. Where on earth did that come from? Okay, so where we left off was Mackenzie saying, oh my God, if you're on D&D, I'm going to freak out. You know just how to make a rough day worse. Thanks. Now I get to just sit here sad AF because I just got yelled at for saying I F'd over 3 times. If your friends are going to bring out this behavior, then I'm just not going to F with the friends you were with. Every time you're with Kyle. Wow, so rude. I swear to God, answer right now. I swear I can't say shit without you yelling at me. Dom says, no, I had a free window of time from around 7 to 8, so going to the beach wouldn't work. So sorry I F'd you over when I really didn't. Mackenzie says, nice, Dom. And I don't know, I swear I tell you this every time you try and apologize. If you say sorry, and she's chat speaking it like Dom always does, they shorten it to SRY. Mackenzie says, if you say SRY, it didn't mean shit to me and it never will. And the fact that you went on D&D so fast is rude. Like I tell you, I had a hard day and I get yelled at and put on D&D. It's really childish that you on D&D, by the way, and that just tells me you don't care. Okay, I'm trying to do it less, but that was 3D.
Because they're chaotic evil, they would say that.
Okay, let me switch back here. Dom says, I'm sorry, SRY, Kenzie, but I do shit all day and not trying to hear it. Mackenzie says, you literally just said SRY again. And if you're not trying to hear it, then don't be rude. And you're still going to Trevor's and you still hasn't asked me what's wrong. Like, holy shit. And you're probably still in D&D too. And I swear, oh, she emphasized her previous text. She says, how I know you were still on D&D. I'm so sick of this shit. So rude. I'm about to not like Trevor anymore. Dom says, why? Mackenzie says, why? Dom says, he's the only real friend I have left that actually hits me up and asks how I'm doing. Mackenzie says, did you not read anything else? Like you say, you don't want to deal with this, but it's so easy to not be rude. Don't ignore me, F me over, go on D&D. And like how you apologize, like you know how going on D&D makes me feel. Like, why are you still on D&D?
Dungeons and Dragons. I live in a world of cold steel.
Oh, man. Ruth Carroll says she wants sorry said with flowers, chocolates, and dabs, especially the dabs. Oh, man. Cherokee Girl says Australia has spiders big as dogs. Oh, yeah. Like, Australia is another place I really, really want to go. Like, I watched, oh, crap. What was the movie I watched that I got so obsessed with when I was a kid in the 80s? Outback Bound. Outback Bound. About the, hang on. Let me Google it, friends. Sorry. 1988 film Outback Bound, starring, what was her name? Donna Mills. I love Donna Mills. Just a second, let me show y'all real quick. Sorry, a little brain trail here. But yeah, this movie, totally obsessed with it whenever I was a kid. Donna Mills plays Samantha Hollings, who inherits an opal mine from her dad, just as her husband, soon-to-be ex-husband, causes her to lose all of her money, and she goes to the Outback to check it out. It's so fun. Benya says, you're showing your age. Oh, yeah, I'm an elder millennial. The 1980 like isn't my actual birth year, but I was born in the early 80s. DSD says, I'm 32 and millennial and I don't know this weird language. Bet. Oh, so funny. Hey, McCatherine, good to see you in here. Also good to see you in, Benya. I don't know if we've seen you in the chat form. Thanks for joining in. We got Dick back in here. Good to see you back. Says, thank God he's not with Carl. She would really lose it. Oh my God, yeah. 100% would lose it. Hey, Stacy, the OG. Good to see you. Stacy says, Bay equals babe. She's trying to do a little chat speak tutorial for everyone. Hey, Florida native girl. Says, stay cool, y'all. All right, let me switch back to the text real quick. Now that I did my little Outback Bound brain trail with y'all there. Okay. Mackenzie says, don't ignore me, F me over, or go on D&D. And how you apologize, like you know how going on D&D makes me feel. Like, why are you still on D&D? So effing disrespectful. Like, how about you effing ask me how my day was or ask me if I'm okay? If you don't turn off D&D, we gonna have issues too. What a great convo. Thanks for making me 50 times more upset. Dom says, same. You're unappreciative. Mackenzie says, of who? You literally couldn't even tell me that you can be there for me. I can't even tell you how bad that hurt. Like, you're still on D&D, still being mean. Like, I was just trying to talk about what happened to me and you didn't care enough to even ask, or when I told you, you didn't even want to hear it. I came to you to feel better, not to cry. OMG, and you left me on red. I really don't know what's up with you tonight, Dom. You really gonna need to make this up to me because this really effed up. You can't take 5 minutes to ask me what happened. Dom says we can talk about it another time. Mackenzie says, whatever. When are you leaving? Oh yeah, I forgot. You're probably gonna ignore me for 30 plus minutes because you're always on D&D. Dom says, soon. I have more people to get to. Mackenzie says, of course, I'm still not your first priority. Does me telling you I'm not having a good day mean nothing? Dom says, I'm not 16 no more. I don't got time for this shit right now. Yeah, if Dom wasn't constantly under threat, I would be like, well, break up with her, Dom, you dumbass, reading that. But we know that Dom tries to break up with her at least once a month, and she threatens him with jail time because she's 15 here, he's 18, and she threatens to turn in his dealing operation. Yeah, it's Dom should have figured out a way. He probably should have just accepted the jail, but yeah, it feels sometimes reading these like neither of them were going to be able to walk out of that relationship alive, and unfortunately, that's what happened. Hey, Shorty Pie, good to see you in here. Let me scroll up just a bit. DSD says, oh, I know babe, but it doesn't sound like that. Haha, sorry, I'm a bit slow. No, not at all. The kids' chat speak is hard to keep up with. And the accents change too. Ruth Carroll says, I want to speak emoji. I just can't see them well. There you go. Rainbow Ribbon says, Shorty Pie, hi, Bab. Kung Fu Panda says, she will not be broken up with. She's in the bushes with binoculars. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I was wondering that same thing, Dick. She acts surprised by him ignoring her, leaving her on red, going on D&D every freaking time. And this is not new. It's not new at all. Hey, thank you so much, Cherokee girl. I appreciate that. Cherokee says, too many scummy people on earth. McCatherine says, and her spelling is horrible. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I try not to harp on her spelling too much because, some people can be really intelligent and have legit spelling issues, and it doesn't affect anything about their intelligence, but that's not the case with Mackenzie, in my opinion. Binya says, this chick is crazy, dude. I think she killed him on purpose. So sad. That's where my mind is at right now, too. I went back and forth on it a little bit because for a while I was like, I don't think she'd put herself in danger. But now that we're, over 20,000 into her messages, I'm like, oh, yeah, I do think she's impulsive enough to put herself in danger. Yeah. DSD says, oh, I totally didn't even account for American versus Aussie accent. Maybe that's why I'm so confused. I love you Americans, but our pronunciation difference is wild. Oh, it so is. It's wild how so many of the English speaking countries have totally different accents. And then I don't know if it's the same way in Australia. I assume probably because I know it's like this in the UK. But in America, we're all American in these 50 states, but the accents vary wildly from state to state or even in different parts of the state. Like in Missouri, a St. Louis accent is nothing like a Southwest Missouri Ozark accent, but they're both Missouri, and they're definitely both American. It's wild accents and, culture stuff like this. Fascinating to me. Cherokee Girl says, McCatherine, she's an airhead. Oh, yeah, definitely. Cherokee Girl DSD, I don't have a problem with Oz accent. Bruce says, I don't think it's just the threats. He's as narcissistic as she is. They don't leave. They ABUSE. He did say, I saw in later texts when I was just skimming through, he said at one point, he said, crap, I'm blanking out. Oh, he said, I don't think either of us can stand to see the other with anyone else. And it's like, oh, yeah, that he had tried to break up with her a lot in the years before. But yeah, it kind of sounds like they were both in this very negative, obsessive spiral. Hey, Stacia001, thanks for popping in. She says, hi, all, I'm sick, so laying here just listening. Oh, I hope you get to feeling better. Thanks for listening, though. DSD says, OMG 1980, I love that you actually read our comments. You're the best. Well, of course, y'all are the best for being in here chatting with me. I'd be just like talking to myself otherwise. DSD says, oh, Southern accents kill me as an Aussie. Oh, yeah. The Southern accents are wild too, because like you got like that New Orleans posh accent, and then you got Cajun versus Creole, like Mississippi Delta accent, Alabama. Like it is wild, wild. Pippadot says, Stacia, hope you are feeling better. I understand just laying and listening. I have to do that sometimes too. Definitely. Well, there have been times I have to lay down and read these. Like I still want to go live. I feel up to doing something, but sometimes I can't sit up. So yeah, we do what we got to do, y'all. Amos Hi-Fi says there are differences in accents from a few miles down the road here in Wales. Oh yeah, I can imagine. I like watching TikToks sometimes where they they're doing like different accents and different cultural differences in countries that I'm not that familiar with, and it's like, oh, look at that. Aren't we all the same, you know? So we all have our differences. Oh yeah, me too, Cherokee girl. People get shocked sometimes whenever I say I'm a hillbilly because people have like extremely negative connotation to hillbilly, and part of that is because a mountain accent, Ozark and Appalachian, those are the only accents in America that is still considered socially acceptable to make fun of. We're like the only subculture in America that, you know, is still considered okay to just straight up denigrate and mock. And, you know, part of that, that's understandable. That happens with every single culture. But there's a lot to be discovered in there. And hillbillies, rednecks, you know, all that, there's distinct cultural differences. That's a fun thing to explore too. Because, like, your rednecks are usually people that grew up in kind of a town environment, and they're longing for the country. They long to be out on the dirt roads and, you know, only go into town just a little bit here and there, maybe once a month. That's how I grew up. And hillbillies, they live that, you know, that's not something they're thinking about. It's just what you live in, you know. Anyway, I'll quit rambling about that a little bit. But yeah, the connotations just, they're nowhere near the same as for a person who's lived that as what people who don't really know the terms and maybe only know the memes and jokes might think. So anyway, let me check comments again real quick. Amos Hi-Fi says the Blanchard drunk accent. Yeah, there was a time early on in like 2024, people kept saying Christy's drunk all the time. And I'm like, she might be, but I can't tell because, you know, if you're not familiar with Cajun accents, that might be your first assumption always. Me too, Kung Fu Panda. Me too. Uh-oh, is Shorty Pie sick? Oh, Stacia. That's right. Stacia is sick. We hope she gets well soon. DSD says, Cherokee girl, I don't know how to tag you, but are you an OG from Jip era? Yep, Cherokee girl's been around a while. Dick says he's not going on D&D for anyone but her. His business depends on him being available. Yeah, that's a good point. Well, she's probably the only one that spams him too. People are usually afraid to piss off their plug who does their drops, you know. They don't act a fool whenever the plug's late. Perfectly Imperfect says, I'm still here, just listening, baking, fussing with my 100 houseplants. Your voice is soothing, 1980. Ooh, 100 houseplants. I'm not there because I have given away a lot of them because it was getting crazy, but I relate to that so much. Love my houseplants. DSD says, someone please tell me what time it is in the US. Here, Central Time, where I'm at, is 10 a.m. Cherokee Girl says, Jip, I've been in YouTube since 2013, nationwide. Pippadot says, hello, love plants and herb. Absolutely. Cherokee Girls, 10 a.m. in Tennessee. Kung Fu says 7:58 in Cali. All right. Rainbow Ribbon says 4 p.m. in Ireland. We got international representation here, y'all, in our chat. Amos Hi-Fi says, people don't think I'm where I'm from because I pronounce my phonics. My original local accent was so thick, people couldn't understand me, so I corrected it. That's a thing too, is like people have individual accents sometimes that are developed due to just their personal quirks and not references, influences, personal quirks and influences that are not necessarily related to all their surroundings. Like Ozzy, crap. Where's the place that Ozzy Osbourne was from? I can't remember the exact location of the UK, like specific area. But his accent, in my opinion, appears to be influenced by that, but it's also his personal, physical tics and quirks that make his accent what it is. Other people from that area don't sound just like Ozzy. Thank you, Amos Hi-Fi. I knew it started with a B, but I I think I was trying to, in my brain, combine Birmingham and Black Sabbath somehow. I was thinking like Blackingham or something. Oh, man. Okay. Let me switch back to the messages since I rambled on a bit. Okay, yeah. So Dom says, I'm not 16 no more. I don't got time for this shit right now. Mackenzie says, you still can't. Like, you can bring me with you and talk about it with me. Why is talking about my emotions so hard for you? Like, show me you're sorry if you care about me, Dom. If you care, you will make time. Also, you never do runs this late, so why are you doing them tonight? Why is it so hard to get your attention? Sad face. Dom says, because I'm going to. Mackenzie says, you're going to what? And get off D&D. Like, why do you say shit that makes no sense and then not answer again for 30 minutes? Dom says, do some runs real quick. Mackenzie says, you never do runs this late. Like, you never do, actually. And I don't see why you can't bring me. OMG, why did you leave me on red? Like, OMG, I swear you don't listen to anything I say. Why is it so effing hard for you to text me back fast or answer a phone call? Like, you decline the call and then don't text me back. OMG. Dom says, I'm busy. We can talk tomorrow. Mackenzie says, how are you busy? You never do any runs this late. Why do you keep saying shit like that? Like, what the F? We can talk tomorrow. We can't talk tomorrow unless I come over early, and that's the only way. Like, what are you busy with? Because every time you have runs after 9, you do not do them. OMG, I'm going to freak out. F today, you for real got me so upset. OMG, and now you on D&D. If you don't tell me what's going on, we're going to have an issue. You are rude as shit. You need to grow up, Don. Exclamation marks. I don't believe a thing you have said tonight. I'm about to not trust you anymore if you don't reply to me right now. You are literally such a D for no reason. You're really making me regret what I let you do. I'm so done. I shouldn't cry all night. Dom says, I got to get gas. Mackenzie says, that's all you effing say, are you effing dumb? OMG, I don't believe a effing word you're saying, Dom. If you don't answer the effing phone right now, we're going to have an effing problem. You never do sales this late. Dom says, why? Mackenzie says, never. You're lying to me. So you're choosing to have a problem? I still don't believe you because what were you doing that whole time you were ignoring me? Dom says, I was being focused on the road. Can't do 4 things at once. Mackenzie says, wow, did you really just block me in the middle of a text? I'm so effing upset right now, Dom. Please stop doing this to me. Like, it literally kills me when this shit happens, Dom. I've been waiting for you to text back for like 2 hours. You don't understand how much stress this puts on me. Dom says, you don't understand how angry you make me. Mackenzie says, I just wanted to tell you what happens to me today. Dom says, this what makes me want to quit. Can't just let me get my shit together. Mackenzie says, you say that every time we get into a fight, and this is our first fight in so long. And Dom, you literally never do runs this late, like never. Dom says, if you can't let me get to my shit together, I can't be effing with you because I need to get my shit together. Mackenzie says, you know I let you do whatever. Dom says, not just daily, but like my life. So G-O-M, oops, sorry, I knocked my water glass over. So G-O-M-D, and let me do my shit. What does G-O-M-D mean? I don't know. What on earth? Amos Hi-Fi says, oh, the irony. Dom kills Kinsey every time. Every time. McCatherine says, Cherokee girl, the VA sends it to my hubby. Cherokee Girl says, DST, we have plenty of problematic people on YouTube from everywhere. DST says, okay, as an Aussie, I swear on TikTok, all the problematic influencers are from Texas or Missouri, but I don't know enough about the US to make this comment, just my observation based on videos. Yeah, if you get into like a TikTok, their algorithm is really, really fast acting. I've noticed like if I watch half of one video, I linger on it. It's like, oh, do you want 500 more of those videos? But Texas is definitely known as an influencer place. There are a crap ton of influencers in Texas around like Dallas, Austin area, especially since Joe Rogan moved there and set up his comedy club. Everybody thinks they can move to Austin and automatically go viral. Cherokee Girl says, Pippa, I actually thought about moving there. Ange says, oh, she for sure thinks he's stepping out on her. Oh, definitely, definitely. Amos Hi-Fi says, Mackenzie getting parent of a teenager treatment. Ignore D&D. Right? Oh, man. Oh, thank you, Nick Meehan. GOMD is get off my D. I couldn't think of what on earth that could be. Yeah. DSD says, I've had boyfriends like Kenzie that always change plans on me and I would get annoyed. So I get how she feels, but I never would act like Kenzie. Yeah. And there's like, another part to that is they're not age appropriate for each other. Dom is starting to mature. He's out of school. He's 18. And Mackenzie is still 15 here and reacting like a 15-year-old. So yeah, just crazy, crazy. Amos Hi-Fi says, thank you, Ange. I was racking my brain. Yeah, I couldn't think of what on earth it was either. Thank you, Dick. Shorty Pie says, Austin is not all that, to be honest. I've heard that. Like, I've only went to Austin to like visit people I knew, hang out in their homes. So I haven't really like went to Austin to experience Austin. Okay, let me switch back to the messages. Okay, so Dom says, GOMD, and let me do my shit. Mackenzie says, Dom, I know, and I do. Dom says, and stop making it so stressful for me to do my shit. Mackenzie says, tonight I was just sketched out. Dom says, or I'm going to ditch you. Mackenzie says, what the hell? That was rude. Why do you keep making me cry? Please stop. Dom says, actually, I have a different philosophy now. Money will always be fine. Just stop stressing me the F out. Mackenzie says, I didn't mean to. I was stressed too. Like, Dom, you never do shit this late. Dom says, well, if you're stressed, don't make me stressed. Mackenzie says, I had just had a really bad day. Like Lexi and Morgan really did me wrong today. Dom says, if I'm stressed, do you see me complaining to you? No, I wait till I see you. And then if I want to say something, I can. Mackenzie says, no, but I wouldn't care if you ran into me. Dom says, they went and chilled with Chris. Who gives a F? Mackenzie says, and I'm not coming ranting. Dom says, F them. Don't talk to them. Mackenzie says, well, they invited me, then uninvited me. Dom says, I'm going to cut off all my friends for money. Mackenzie says, then they tried to get my mom to watch the baby. Dom says, besides like Trevor and Ashish. Mackenzie says, like, that's so effed up. Dom says, and then I'm going to rob them. Mackenzie says, I feel like I'm being used by them, Dom. Dom says, that's what I felt like too. I would cancel the trip. Mackenzie says, like, I try to be nice to people like me, then I just get effed over. Dom says, or you want to get them all robbed? Like, be close to them? I'll have my people rob them. What on earth? I feel like Dom's just screwing with her here. Mackenzie says, like what from them? Dom says, everything. Mackenzie says, they all broke. I feel like we should only do that if they really deserve it, like Griffin or Jada, etc. Also, maybe, babe, I really didn't mean to stress you out, but I'm just having a bad day. Like, I've been mad all day. Dom said, nah, like for real, I flip out on you. You say I'm mean and all that. I flip on Trevor, but he asked me if I'm doing okay and why I'm so mad and if I need help. And if I flip out on Trevor for no reason, you be bothering me when I'm busy. And for real, everyone will chuck you for some bread or a girl. So F them all. I'm going to get them robbed first and be a millionaire. Wow. This is weird. Mackenzie says, well, I just don't want you to get in any trouble. And I just honestly woke up not in a good mood today. It was just one of those days that nothing works out good. Dom says, you know what manifestation is? Mackenzie says, I do that all the time. It actually works sometimes. Dom says, yeah, well, you did it today and your whole day was bad. Mackenzie says, when did I do it? Dom emphasized her previous text. Mackenzie says, oh, shit. Well, remember how I had that really weird dream? Like when I woke up from that dream, I was confused and it was like not a good or bad dream. It was just so weird. I know 100% I'm going to have a better day tomorrow though. FaceTime me when you're about to sleep. Babe. Dom says, my phone died. Mackenzie says, I figured. Do you want to FaceTime? Dom says, about to smoke a blunt with Shmeesh. Mackenzie says, oh, okay, after if I'm still up. When you're up, let me come over. Oops. That went into the next day. The when you're up, let me come over was the next morning on the 2nd. So yeah, big old fight again. And then it's like they just suddenly get tired of fighting and fizzle it out to nothing. Like what on earth? Okay, let me scroll up and check comments again. Pippadot says, you can imagine there are police reports my brother tells me about daily in Austin. DS5 says, right in 1980, I got to a point where I left instead of all this fighting bullshit. If Dom didn't meet her needs, she was too needy. You don't keep going, you move on. Exactly. Like they both needed out of that relationship bad. Oh, no, that's rough, Cherokee girl. Pippadot says, the people that live underground in Austin nearly caught the city on fire. Oh, no. That's not good. Cherokee girl, haven't had any med in 2 years, been trying to get a new doctor. The opioid crisis really screwed up people who need pain meds. Yeah. Ruth Carroll says, sometimes I wish YouTube would quit it with the rhythms because I never learned the flip side. Yeah, I like to watch both sides myself on a lot of different things until I get my thoughts settled on it. You know, if that makes sense. And Catherine says, Cherokee girl, I'm so sorry. Guess he's been lucky so far with his VA docs. Yeah, I'm glad he's been lucky. Shorty Pie says, Kinsey is never in a good mood unless she has her dabs. Oh, that's the dang truth. Lord alive. Yeah, I hope you get some help there, Cherokee. For sure. Okay. Let's start on the 2nd here. So at 9 a.m., Mackenzie says, when you're up, let me come over. 100%, let me. I want to hang out in the day for once. I want to be over before it gets dark. And 20 minutes before the noon, Dom says, I just woke up and got shit to do. Mackenzie says, how much? Dom says, I don't know. Mackenzie says, well, I want to hang out during the day, Dom. Babe, can I get 7 for 65? Good. The gas? Answer ASAP. Dom says, why? Mackenzie says, we need Bud. Me, Morgan, Lexi, we each have 20. Dom says, so give you all 20 bags? Mackenzie says, well, no, we putting our money together than smoking today. At the end of the day, we splitting up the bud. Dom says, I'll just give you all 20 bags. Make it easier. Mackenzie says, that's fine, but we is 60 cool. Dom says, yeah. Mackenzie says, okay. Put a little more bud in my bag, though. LOL. I'll give you an extra 5 if you want. Dom says, that's why I was making them all separate. Mackenzie says, you so sweet, babe. Dom says, LOL, just bring your pill bottle. Mackenzie says, LOL, I will. Dom says, when you coming? Oh, God. Mackenzie says, we getting food, then dropping the baby off, then coming. Now, poor babies with these 3 teenagers. Dom says, probably dropping it off to your mom, huh? Mackenzie says, hell nah. I'm not letting her use me for my mom anymore. She's going to Morgan's. Dom says, bet. Mackenzie says, yeah, for real. We coming soon. You about to be ready? Like, are you home? Dom says, okay, just wait outside when you're here. Mackenzie says, me? I can't come in? Can I just come in and bring everything out? I wanted to come in. Babe, answer. Dom says, okay, you come in real quick. Mackenzie says, okay, yay. Can we come right now? We on the way. Dom, yeah, you should have been here. Mackenzie says, what you mean? Then later, Mackenzie says, That was a nice wood, bae. I'm low-key annoyed. We still haven't been to the beach yet. They taking so long. We hanging when I'm back. Also, text back fast. Babe, I'm about to be home. Still gonna shower real quick though. Dom says, I'm home. You can come over when you're done. I have to shower too. Mackenzie says, okay, I'm about to be ready to come. Dom says, okay, BB, make sure to look cute. Good Lord. Mackenzie says, I will. Dom says, maybe we can go out to eat. Mackenzie says, should I wear a dress then? Bae. Dom says, yes. Mackenzie says, okay, I will. I'm going to bring it though because I'm going to walk over or ride a bike, LOL. Dom says, LOL, okay, I could pick you up real quick. Mackenzie says, okay, come scoop. I'll change before we go. I'll still look really cute though. Dom says, when? Mackenzie says, right now. Want me to start walking? Dom says, yeah, me and Smeecy hooping and smoking. Mackenzie says, I'm walking. Save some wood for me. Dom says, it's not a wood, moon rocks. Moon rocks is when you take a weed bud and then like roll it in some powdered wax, like THC oil wax. And then once that's all sticky on the outside, then you roll it in keef, which is like the THC dust, the crystals that fall off the bud. So yeah, moon rock, it's not like a dab, but it's really, really strong. You can check comments real quick. Amos says, I get that Steve and Natalie fight a lot, hence Mackenzie needs to argue. I was the same in my home environment with my parents. Hubby put pin in that one with me. Yeah, like there is, she's only 15 still here. And if Natalie and Steve are the parents, and you can just imagine their arguments, I can't imagine what she's going to know else to do. At the same time, like, we have to grow, but she's 15. She's 15 here. She shouldn't even be in these positions. Cherokee Girl says, isn't bib French? It could be. Shorty Pie says, Kinsey is a text pro. Them fingers are quick. So fast. Oh my God. Like so fast. Nick Meehan says, oh man, I'd be absolutely messed up. I think they're talking about the moon rock description. Yeah, like it is crazy. Crazy, crazy. Shorty Pie says, how many seconds are between each text? It doesn't give down to the seconds, but sometimes it's wild because it'll be the same minute, like within the same minute, and they will send so much to each other. It's crazy. Okay, let me switch back here. Mackenzie says, I really miss you, Dom. I'm really upset right now. I hope you're all good too, but like, please try to give me a little more time, babe. It's so important to me. I want your attention and I want you to text me a lot and shit. And like, I know you don't have the time, but if you really care, you will make the time because I always make time for you. Well, Dom says, okay, babe. Meat fest, by the way. Mackenzie says, what you mean? And who else there? Is it fun? Please make it up to me. Dom says, I'll tell you later. Bunch of dudes. That's what he meant by meat fest. Bunch of dudes. Lord. Mackenzie says, I hate when shit like that happens because then I get home and get the worst night's sleep of my life. I hope you keep your word and actually let me come early because I feel like that's not going to happen. Do your shit fast AF. I'm going to Crocker Park with Kristen, and right when I get back from that, we are hanging out. 2.5 hours or 2 hours go by and Dom says, what you doing? Mackenzie says, waiting for Kristen. After I leave Crocker, I'm gonna come over though. Dom says, I just woke up at 12. Mackenzie says, how was last night? Were y'all drinking? Dom says, went and smoked, then left. Mackenzie says, for real? Dom says, no, only person who drank was George by himself. Mackenzie says, LMFAO. What a FAG. Good Lord, Mackenzie. Dom says, he can't smoke. Mackenzie says, but also, if you just went to smoke, I feel like I could have stayed at your house till you were back, LOL, and why not? Dom says, he's going to Army. That's exactly what I was going to do. That's what he said we were going to do. Mackenzie says, George Graham? Oh, I should have stayed. And want me to get you anything from Crocker? If I see anything cool? Dom says, underwear. Why does he need so much underwear all the time? Mackenzie says, okay. Dom says, slides. Sup effers. Mackenzie sent him a video. Dom says, it's all dark. Mackenzie says, watch the video. Dom says, I did. Is it you beating up Maddie? Well, that's weird. Mackenzie says, babe, after Cracker, me and Kristen going to Kyle's. You have to come. Okay, Bab? Dom says, okay, babe. Mackenzie says, we here. Dom says, bet, I'll come soon. Mackenzie says, okay, where you at, BBB? Come. And that's the end of their text for July 3rd. They go into July 4th, and that is really short, and it's all Mackenzie. Dom doesn't reply once. On the 4th, Mackenzie says, morning, babe. When you're up, add me back. I have to show you like 6 outfits, and they all saved on Snap. You said you would call me back, by the way. When are we hanging? Bring sparklers up. Come up here, please. John is here. Come up. And that is all of their texts on July 4th. That's what I was wondering, Rainbow. I didn't want to say that, though. Ah. Oh, man. Pippadot says, I never heard of anyone buying so much underwear, right? Crazy, crazy, crazy. Let me make sure I didn't miss anyone new in the chat. Hey, Marilyn, man. Marilyn says, way behind in the live, but I love Reno 911 too. Maybe that's why I think you're so awesome. Hey, well, you're awesome. Thanks for being here. Reno 911 fans, we're all cool. Okay, let me switch back, and we are going into the 5th now, July 5th. Mackenzie says, babe, how long are you going to be in there? And this is at like 1:15 in the afternoon. I might go sit outside. I'm going right now. Dom says, okay, babe. If you can put some stuff away, like the eggs and stuff. Mackenzie says, yes. Are you done with your food? Dom says, I guess so. Mackenzie says, so yes, because I'm going to clean up the plates. Dom says, yeah. Mackenzie says, someone here, black car. Dom says, can you give them 20 gloss? I think that might be a vape, because Mackenzie says, yes, how much? Dollars. And what color? Dom says, 400. He'll be straight. He cool. He not gonna rip you. Mackenzie says, what colors, babe? Dom says, any I have most of. Mackenzie says, yellow, red. Dom says, yeah. Mackenzie says, should I just go to the window or get in? Dom says, no, just wait a sec. I'll give it to him. Mackenzie says, I have them in the kitchen. Dom says, okay, give them to me in a sec. Mackenzie says, are you sure you just don't want me to? Dom says, if you want to. Mackenzie says, I don't really care. Dom says, just get in back seat. Mackenzie says, I want to sit outside. Okay. Dom says, he's chill. Mackenzie says, I did it. Dom says, okay, LMAO. Mackenzie says, who's the plug now? She's very, very happy about doing a little deal here for her dealer boyfriend at 15. Dom says, can you put a change of underwear in your bag for me, Lord? Mackenzie says, yes, babe. Dom says, and can you find 2 towels? Mackenzie says, yes. And that's the end of their text for the 5th. Yeah, and she's been begging him to let her for ages. Like it goes on and on and on, her begging, just let me come on runs with you. Let me do sales, blah, 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 blah. Okay. First text on the 6th is Mackenzie at 10:44 a.m. She says, babe, is your stomach effed? Dom says, no, mine is okay right now. Mackenzie says, bruh, mine was so effed this morning, like super bad. Dom says, really? Probably that corn. Mackenzie says, LMFAO, probably not. I don't know what it was. My tum was cramping so bad. Dom says, what you doing today, babe? Mackenzie says, you want me to bring you a funnel cake? I'm going to the food truck and going home. She's talking about her stomach cramping bad, and then she's going to go get a funnel cake? Okay. For anyone who doesn't know what a funnel cake is, it's kind of like, hey, Tony 1300, glad to see you in here. So a funnel cake is kind of like a like a cake donut type batter, and you pour it from a funnel into the hot oil that, where it starts frying right away, and you pour it in like a circular motion and go back and forth until it's, built up a little bit, and then take it out of the fryer and dust it with powdered sugar. So it's sugary batter, a whole bunch of oil, cooking grease, and some powdered sugar. So she's going on about her stomach being so effed up, and then like she's getting funnel cake. Okay. Dom says, I'm about to run places with Shmish. I'm okay, babe. Mackenzie says, I'm at 808 shaved iced. I'm getting butterbeer, icy, about to smack. Babe, I'm about to post like and comment, baby. Babe, should I caption, hot out, bitch, I walk it out. Or, this is a jetpack. This is not a wave. Dom says, I like the other one better. I don't know what she's talking about. Mackenzie says, the take Hey one. I was trying to shine like something my fucking glitter. LOL. Dom says, yeah. Mackenzie says, LOL, do you know what song the Oh the Wee lyric from? Dom says, is it Saran? Mackenzie says, not that one, the other two. Dom says, J Day, Youngin, and Foreign J. Mackenzie says, no, just the Foreign J. I hate the first guy. It's Swaggin' Everywhere single. Dom says, oh yeah, they both the same song, LMAO. Mackenzie says, LMAO. Dom says, so do the take one, or Mackenzie says, so do the take one. And Dom says, I don't know, whatever, which one you want. Mackenzie says, I don't know what one. Lexi said the jetpack one. What one fits the pic better? What you doing, babe? Dom says, me and Angelo just went to Ohio Dispo. Mackenzie says, LMAO, for real? What y'all get? Can we hang for a little? Dom says, when and he got Bud. Mackenzie says, like soon? I'm night swimming tonight. Maybe you can come. Dom says, where? Why don't you swim right now? It's hot. Mackenzie says, Kristen's pool and she's working. Dom says, oh. Mackenzie says, we can go swimming right now if you want somewhere, or we can hang and hoop if you want to do that. Dom says, nah, I'm chilling with Angelo and got sales. Mackenzie says, can I do sales with you? It's cool if not. We can just hang another time if you're really busy. Send the vid of the dispo shit though. Dom says, I will. And no, I'm about to dip. Mackenzie says, okay, BB. Dabs? Dabs? Could I come get some, then dip or kick it for a little? Dom says, I just got home. What you doing now? Mackenzie says, just chilling right now. Dom says, are you still at your house? Mackenzie says, yeah, I don't know if Kristen gonna hit me up. I'm bored. Dom says, you can probably come over. Mackenzie says, right now, babe? Dom says, I don't know. Me, Angelo, and Shmish might play zombies. Mackenzie says, I need Dabs drops him off. So arm. What, WTM? What does that mean? Anyway, Dom says, we smoke in the wood right now, then gonna play zombies. And that was the end of their text on the 6th. You see, the 7th goes on for quite a bit, it looks like. Let me run and refill my water real quick, friends, and then we will continue on. Just a second here. Go ahead and chat amongst yourselves, y'all. Okay, I am back. Trying to catch up on chat real quick. Dick says you should have played your intro beat while you were gone. It's a banger. You know, I've been thinking about that. I need to get a little like a video set up in the media assets to play whenever I go on break. Let's see. Hey, Ivona, good to see you. Ivona says, listening today because getting ready for another doc appointment this morning. Okay, let me switch back over to the messages. Okay, on the 7th, Mackenzie texts Dom at 3:25 a.m. Says, I can't sleep. Then she texts him again at 10 a.m. and says, my room is really uncomfortable lately. Dom says, why is that, babe? Mackenzie says, I don't know. I just can't sleep good at all. Like, I get really uncomfortable and wake up in the middle of the night. Then I keep waking up. I don't know why you just stopped talking, but okay. Questions? Dom says, I can't hear you. Mackenzie says, LOL, babe, did your phone die? Or are you on the way with someone else? Just FaceTime me back, babe. Dom says, no, I don't know what was happening. Mackenzie says, oh, what you mean? Was my phone being effed? When you going to be free, Bab? Can we hang soon? Dom says, me and Kyle still holding hands. I think he's trying to make a joke to Mackenzie. She doesn't really pick up on it. She says, when are you leaving, Kyle's? After you leave, can you just scoop? Dom says, I only been here like 20 minutes, but yeah, I probably could. Depends on what I have to do. Mackenzie says, okay, please scoop. Dom says, okay, it depends if this dude messages me back. Mackenzie says, so when you going to leave? Dom says, I'm waiting on a homie to come to Strongsville, so you couldn't come by till after, even if I was home. Mackenzie says, well, how long you home? And can you scoop after? Dom says, at least 5. He said he's going to be here by 5. Yeah. Mackenzie says, at least 5, and we can't hang before? Dom says, we can't. Mackenzie says, that's literally 2 hours later. I really don't see why I can't come over before 5. That's gay AF. Ugh. She's always saying gay and FAG as slurs for stuff, which is wild because apparently she's having, girlfriends now in prison. Gay for the state, at least. Dom says, okay. Mackenzie says, why are you just saying okay? I don't know why you just shut down when I ask questions for real. LOL, WTF? Dom says, you don't know what's going on, so I can't really see either, so I'm not trying to be on my phone. Mackenzie says, how about you tell me what's going on then instead of just saying okay or ignoring me then? Dom says, okay, we can chill tomorrow then. Mackenzie says, WTF? Why the F would you do that? So you would rather be rude as F than answer my questions when I'm not even being a bitch. Like, that's for real so frustrating. You said we could hang today. Just because I have a question about why that guy is taking more than 2 hours doesn't mean you can just shut down and be disrespectful to me. Dom says, because you don't understand. Mackenzie says, I do understand, actually. If you're busy doing shit, then tell me and I'll leave you alone. Like, stop acting like I'm dumb, Dom. Like, now I'm annoyed AF. Why do you always have to do the most childish thing you could possibly do? Like, holy shit. And now you pretending you can't see my texts and calls. You rude AF. Dom says, look, I won't have the dude come by no more, okay? And I'm going to chill with you in a little. Mackenzie says, what's a little to you? Like, how much longer am I going to be waiting for you to finally let me come over? Like, I'm mad because you ignoring me and being rude. And you still ignoring SMFH. I'm so salty right now. Holy shit. It's been like a little and you still can't even text me back. Like, what is happening? Dom says, I'm eating in my eyes. I don't know what that means. Mackenzie says, you can still read. Holy shit. Like, I shouldn't have to do this much to get an answer. Like, I've been so effing mad all day because of this shit. You said I could come in a little, and it's been 30 minutes. Dom says, okay, and? Mackenzie says, WTF, you mean okay, and? Like, are you still trying to make me flip the F out? When are you going to stop being a D? When are you going to let me come over, Dom? I love how I answer ASAP and you take 10 plus minutes every time. It's literally been an hour. I love getting treated like shit. Thanks for making me feel like you don't care. Also, you're not the only person treating me like shit today, so I'm having a really bad day. Dom says, okay. Mackenzie says, so you're not going to ask why I'm having a bad day? Cool. Remember, do not ignore me. I still need dabs. And we're back to that. Dom says, okay, I got them. Mackenzie says, okay, thanks, babe. Text me when you're ready to hang. Dom says, okay. Mackenzie says, how long are you thinking, though? Dom says, like an hour. Mackenzie says, okay, please try to be fast. Congrats, babe. You should call your mama real quick. Gonna be happy AF. Dom says, okay. Mackenzie says, also, you gonna be done soon? That was quick. Well, are you home? Dom says, on the way. Mackenzie says, can you scoop me? He says, yeah. Mackenzie says, how far are you? Dom says, progress. Mackenzie says, okay, bet. Dom says, here. Mackenzie says, okay, bet. And that's the end of their text for the 7th. You can scroll up a bit, check comments. Kung Fu says, me too, Rainbow. Now I'm going to have to drive out in the mountains because fry bread is in my head. Oh, I love fry bread. That reminds me, I need to get some fry bread. I need a good Indian taco. Cherokee Girl laughs at me sometimes. I'll wear t-shirts that say, I was told there would be fry bread when I'm on camera. My American friends, my ex from 3 years ago wants to come over, bang, and it's harassing me. It's 1:30 a.m. What do I do? Just ignore? I have zero interest. Say, no, bab. Tell them that you live in a world of cold steel. Kung Fu, drop me some on the way. Pippadot says, Cherokee, I'll keep trying 1980s as well. Yeah, and I am going to get that, get an Instagram and Facebook set up, so maybe it'll be easier for y'all to message me too. DST says, Kung Fu, I am dead. Cherokee Girl says, Pippa Rose just emailed me, haha. Okay. Ruth Carroll says, DSD is your ex for a reason. There you go. Cherokee Girl says, Rainbow, at least make them do the dishes. Pippadot says, DSD, we can be friends. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, we're glad you're here, DSD. Cherokee Girl says, DSD, I knew a handsome Aussie. Called him my thunder from down under. Pippadot says, always need dabs. Bet. Oh, yeah. Every time they're in the least bit of a fight, she's like, and I need dabs. I totally agree. Liz says, Liz887 says, I don't think she really cared about Dom. She just wanted his money and drugs. For real, for real. Amos says, progress. Isn't that where it happens? I think it was there, near there. Yeah. Exactly, DSD. No bad. Just tell him that. McCatherine says, my neighbors do Indian tacos every weekend. I love those. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Thankfully, I am in native country, so I have lots of options. Can get them also. DSD says, oh, Cherokee. That is so tacky and cringe. Cherokee says, dabs of weed and wood. No, the wood, they're talking about backwoods, the natural tobacco leaf cigars. You unroll them and refill them with weed. I smoke backwoods too myself, to be honest. Dick says, isn't progress where the wreck happened? I believe so. Yeah, believe so. Okay. Now we are starting in on July 8th at 1:19 in the morning. Mackenzie says, if you staying up, FaceTime me. And at 4:09 in the morning, Dom replied, my stomach effed right now. Mackenzie says, how? Dom says, I don't know. I ate Cane's yesterday. I guess that's Raising Cane's chicken. And then at 9:12, Mackenzie says, "Morning, BB. Lexi typing for so long right now. She said we got to talk and has been typing for like 5 minutes now." Dom says, "Weird. What did she say?" Mackenzie says, "Want to hang?" Oh, the want to hang is a few hours later, so they must have talked on the phone about Lexi or something. Dom says, "Yeah." Mackenzie says, "Okay, what time can I come over?" Dom says, "You can come right now. I'm not doing anything. I have to leave to do a couple of things soon, though." Mackenzie says, "Okay, bet. I'll be there soon." Dom says, "Okay." Mackenzie says, "On my way." And then an hour later, Mackenzie says, "What is going on?" Dom says, "I'm washing my poison oak." Mackenzie says, "No, I mean, are you good? Because ever since I got here, you only been talking to me about the rubbing alcohol, and I don't know if I did something wrong." Dom says, "Clean your effing poison oak." Mackenzie says, "It literally is clean already, but if you really want me to clean it even more, then I will. Like I told you to get me a cotton ball." Dom says, "You have to wash it with alcohol. That's why yours is spreading. I told you that." Mackenzie says, "WTF? Is that new?" Dom says, "Yeah. And yeah, that's what happened to me a couple years ago." Mackenzie says, "WTF?" Dom says, "So if you don't want to wash your shit, effing leave my house. I have this shit on my D, so yeah, I'm offended by you not washing." Oh, Lord, y'all. Mackenzie got poison oak, and she did not clean it off properly. Because Dom is right. You have to use, alcohol, some Technu, like special soaps and stuff to get the oil off, or it'll keep spreading. Like once you touch it. She didn't wash it right, and Dom has poison oak on his member. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh shit. Amos Hi-Fi says, "What is poison oak?" It didn't occur to me that our UK friends may not know what poison oak is, and I don't know if they have poison oak in Australia or not either. McCatherine says, "I live next to a Washoe reservation. Love it." Nice. Nice, nice, nice. I live next to a big tribe too, and I work with them a lot. We do art shows together and things. It's wonderful. Okay, just a second. Aggressive typing coming on, y'all. Okay, poison oak and poison ivy are a big problem in America because they grow almost everywhere in the country. And whenever you touch it, it makes you get a blistery, god-awful rash. So this is what it looks like. See, this looks like a normal vine, kind of turns kind of pretty in the fall, red leaves and stuff. That's what it can do to your skin. Like it can be really, really bad. So yeah, if Mackenzie didn't, take care of her problem and Dom got the poison oak on his member, you can see why he'd be pretty upset. Lord alive. Okay, let me scroll up a bit. I said squirrel up. That was wrong. Cherokee Girl says, "I am not allergic to poison ivy. I used to pick it and chase my brother." I wish you were around closer to me, Cherokee, and able-bodied, because one of my flower beds has been taken over by poison ivy and poison oak because I'm severe allergic to it. I got to find someone who's not to pull it out and eradicate it. Hey, Liz887. Rainbow says, "Amos, thankfully we don't have it this side of the ocean." Be thankful for that, for real. Liz says, "I bet Dom is ready to dump her over that." For sure. DSD says, "I think we have poison oak in Aussie land, but the name's different." Okay. Rainbow Ribbon says, "Aggressive as ASMR." Oh yeah, my aggressive typing. Yep, that's exactly what it is, Shorty Pie. That's actually how I smoke mine. I smoke the rolled woods. And that's possible too, Ruth. Yeah, you might be blaming it on Mackenzie. Kung Fu says, "Everything else in Australia can kill you." It seems that way sometimes looking at the bugs and animals there. I want to go check them all out. Panda Butt says, did you learn how to type on a typewriter? I remember that is why you type a little harder so the words are clear. I did, yeah. I taught myself on a typewriter and didn't have any formal typing classes until I started college. I went to Ozarks Technical Community College for a few classes whenever I was, I think I just turned 17 because I graduated early at 16, but I was homeschooled. So, like your typical classes, typing classes, and all that stuff, I didn't have. And so I had to take a typing class in college, and I had already been typing on a typewriter. So yeah, like I just go all ham on the keyboard. Oh man, DSD says, I haven't had weed at 32, so I don't understand any of this. So you're getting an education in this chat, DSD. Rainbow Ribbon says, Amos, we thought nettles were a bee, huh? Oh yeah, stinging nettles are so nutritious, and I've grown them intentionally because I like to make teas of them. If you dry the seeds, they don't have the itchy hairs on them. They're really nutritious and stuff. But stinging nettles cause your skin to burn, but they don't make the actual rash like poison ivy and poison oak does. Oh, Liz 887 says, I got poison oak in my eyes. So it was maybe 2022 on a camping trip, and the eyes is the worst, head to toe. I think I've had it everywhere at different places. Yeah. Bruce says it itches so you run in place screaming. DSD says we have giant spiders, not poison plants. Oh, yeah. I was going to mention this, Amos Hi-Fi. Giant hogweed is a problem in the UK and in America. And giant hogweed has a very, very similar reaction that poison oak does to the skin. I wonder, DSD, do you guys have giant hogweed in Australia? I don't know. Cherokee because stinging nettles are bad. Not as bad as the poison ivy and poison oak, in my opinion, except for you because you're not allergic to it. Rainbow says, Amos, I clean forgot about hogweed. Yeah, that giant hogweed is crazy. Cherokee Girl says 1980, I would save you for show. Thank you, Cherokee. Thank you. Yeah, I've had to do that before, Liz. I was actually supposed to be having a surgery, and I go into the hospital in Joplin, Missouri, and I'm covered in poison ivy, and they were like, oh no, like they had to shoot me up with steroids and stuff and get it better before they could do the surgery, how to reschedule it. DSD says, and poison mushrooms, I'm sure. Oh yeah, that lady who made the beef Wellington with the poison mushrooms, that was crazy, crazy. Amos says, I have a beautiful patch of stinging nettles in my garden. I can't cut them until after summer because the painted lady butterflies love to lay eggs. Aw, how cool, how cool. Let's see. Rainbow says, the only thing the stinging nettles are good for here is pain. Kung Fu says, oh God, in the eyes, no. Oh no, Amos Hi-Fi. Ah, Amos Hi-Fi says, my poor dog stung his bumhole on nettles a few weeks ago. Oh, yes, my nan used to tell me her dad used to pick nettles to eat. Yeah. But be thankful, DSD, if you don't know what giant hogweed is, then it probably isn't too bad there if it even is there. And yes, be very, very thankful. Shorty Pie says, I just sold some Irish cream backwoods. Oh, yeah, somebody about to roll. As Kenzie would say, they're about to get high. Fuck. Oh, man. Okay, now that we had our little poison oak lesson, let me switch back real quick. Oh, crap. My tab is freezing up. Hopefully it didn't freeze up on everybody. Okay. Oh, it didn't freeze up, but it got me way off track. It scrolled me down to August, and we were in July. Where were we, y'all? We were still pretty early in July, right? July 17th. July 6th. Okay, I'm recognizing these messages. Smoking wood, gonna play zombies. Were we on the 8th or the 9th? Yeah, he says, I ate at Cane's yesterday. Here we are. Okay. Washing my poison oak. Let me switch back here. Okay. Mackenzie says, WTF, is that new? Dom says, yeah, and that's what happened to me a couple years ago. Mackenzie says, WTF. Dom says, so if you don't wash your shit, effing leave my house. I had the shits on my D, so yeah, I'm offended by you not washing it. Mackenzie says, I said 7+ times I will. I don't know why you being mean as F about it. Dom says, because you're not doing it. Mackenzie says, like, what else do you want me to say? Dom says, you're lying in my bed where I sleep. Mackenzie says, I said, bring me the ball. Like, she won't get up and go get the cotton ball. Yes. Dom says, I have to wash my sheets. I came and brought you them. Mackenzie says, you threw it away? Dom says, I'm hella offended. Mackenzie says, where did you put them? I'm not trying to argue. This gay as fuck. Dom says, you can't expect to clean it in my room. You don't see me cleaning myself in there. I don't want to either. You're the one who won't clean. All you have to do is get up and go to the sink. And there you go. Mackenzie says, where are you at? Questions. You said you would bring a blanket. Dom. And that's the end of their messages for the 8th. Man, she is lazy as hell. So lazy. Like, what the shit? Laying in his bed, rubbing poison ivy everywhere, and cannot get up to bring a cotton ball. Just insane. Absolutely insane. Checking comments real quick. Yep, thank you, Panda Bun. That was about where we were. Pippadot says, Cherokee really cannot fathom either. Was around them a lot when I was young. Water moccasins, too. Oh, yeah, we got all kinds of poison snakes around here. Not like Australia, though. DSD says, apparently copperhead isn't deadly, according to Google. I'm used to the Aussie snakes that are apparently too deadly, but we never see them, so I think the media makes it more dramatic. Yeah, copperheads, like, it depends on where you get bit. Like, if you get bit in a place where the venom gets into your bloodstream really easily, like it can get to your heart and stuff, they can be deadly, but usually not. One of my uncles got bit a while back, and he was bit on the forearm trying to move one out of the house. And he called the doctor and they told him just like hold his arm a certain way so that the venom stayed in the arm basically and just let it swell down. Like it swelled up and then went down. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. Some of you who are relatively new here may not know, but a lot of you OGs do know that I am a snake keeper. I love snakes. I keep pet snakes. I don't keep any venomous snakes. I'm not like that. But I do have 2 Australian carpet pythons. They're really fun, cute little snakes. Hey, Amber, good to see you in here. Kung Fu Panda says, rubbing rash throughout and demanding blankets. Right? Oh, my God. DSD says, it's almost 2 a.m. and you guys are too interesting for me to sleep. Awesome. I just hope you don't have work in the morning. That'd be rough on you, but I'm glad you're here. Cherokee Girl says, Ruth, not if you get snake bite treatment. Copperhead got my dad. Yep. Pippadot says, that's what happened, Cherokee. Every time I went fishing at my grandpa's, I'd be calmly sitting and they come out of the lake chasing me. I never had the right shoes on. Oh, yeah, they swim really, really good, some of those. Like in the river, sometimes it looks like they're chasing you because you're both going along with the river flow. But oh, yeah, Shorty Pie, I've still got him. DSD says, OMG, I thought I was an OG because I've followed you on TikTok for 1 to 2 years, but I didn't know about the snakes. Oh, yeah, you're definitely an OG then. Something I have shared on YouTube, I have a second channel that I've been kind of neglecting lately, but it's called Millennial at Midnight. And because I've been so dang sick most of this year, like practically the first 6 months, I have been sick. And haven't felt like keeping up with 2 channels, but I'm trying to get back in it. And I just posted us cleaning. We were cleaning snake enclosures, and I posted myself with one of our big snakes on that channel. DSD says, "Oh, I have to work at 8:30 a.m." Well, I hope you're okay for that. Like I said, we love having you in here. Oh, Cherokee Girl says, I'm not scared of snakes. You know what makes me freak? Palmetto bug or cockroach. I hear ya. I don't care for those either. When I lived in Mississippi, we had the palmetto bugs everywhere, and man, they're like big flying cockroaches, and then no amount of cleaning can get rid of them. You have to spray them. It's crazy, crazy. Okay. On the 9th, starting at 1:42 in the morning, Mackenzie says, FaceTime me if you up. Dom says, okay, FaceTime me when you want. Mackenzie says, okay, bet. We should go to one of the other places. Dom says, what? Mackenzie says, I want to go to one of those places. Dom says, yeah, not today though. Mackenzie says, yeah, I know, soon. How'd you sleep, BB? And how is the poison oak? Dom says, itchy. Mackenzie says, well, is it better or worse today? Is your shit clearing up at all? Why is red off? Dom says, I don't know, probably not. Mackenzie says, turn red back on. Dom says, it's probably the same. What you mean? I have red on. Mackenzie says, mine looks better, to be honest. No, you don't. Dom says, you're the one who doesn't have red on. Mackenzie says, I do have red on. You just turned yours back on. Dom says, I know I did. Mackenzie says, okay, thanks, baby. I think I have like 3 spots on my leg now. Dom says, where did we get poison oak? Mackenzie says, probably from scratching my leg. Let me see. 5 July. So it's been like 2 days. Dom says, it's the 9th. Mackenzie says, oh, LOL. Dom says, what you doing? Mackenzie says, tanning. What about you? Dom says, I just got up. I'm chilling on the back porch. Mackenzie says, it's really nice out right now. Dom says, low-key humid though. That was Mackenzie. Sorry, I got mixed up. Dom says, yeah, it's kind of hot. Mackenzie says, it's a good time to tan. Dom says, you won the giveaway. Mackenzie says, on my way. Dom says, where are you at? Mackenzie says, here. That's weird. Is he doing a giveaway with his weed sales? Like, what on earth? Oh, man. Then we go to the 10th. On the 10th at 9:04, Dom starts the text and he says, what you doing, babe? Mackenzie says, trying to go back to sleep. I woke up itchy as fuck, like 8 a.m. Dom says, I'm just chilling on the front porch. I woke up at 7, 8-ish too. Mackenzie says, that's so weird how we both woke up early as F. Want to FaceTime? Dom says, yeah. And then an hour later, Mackenzie says, I know you're mad, but Kona Ice is going to be at my house at noon. Babe, we might go into quarantine again before my B-day. Dom says, who cares? We'll still throw a party. Mackenzie says, okay, I hope we still can. Also, want to come to my house for Kona Ice, BB? Dom says, maybe. I'm about to go to Trevor's soon. Mackenzie says, come to Kona first. Dom says, I'm going to Trevor's first. Mackenzie says, okay, fine, babe. Dom says, what you doing now? Mackenzie says, I'm tanning, waiting for Kona Ice. It's going to be here at 2 now, babe. Dom says, okay, what you doing now? Mackenzie says, eating Kona. Want to hang soon? Dom says, yeah, give me some Kona. What even is Kona? Mackenzie says, Kona Ice. What flavor? I'm getting you blue tax. Then can I come over, baby? Dom says, yeah. Mackenzie says, okay, bet. On my way. And that's the end of their 10th text. Wow. They went through that without a fight. Look at that. Well, weird, weird, weird. Liz says she can't stand him being on Do Not Disturb or when he turns his red notifications off. She cannot. Like, that makes her mad, mad. Big mad. Ruth Carroll says, I'm the one on top of the chair crying at snakes, mice, or bugs. You know what's wild? I'm a snake keeper and snakes don't bother me a bit. But if a mouse like darts out from somewhere, I scream and jump. Like, I'm not afraid of it, but they're so startly, like so startly. Hey, Maria. Maria's only hint says, I'm back. Let's go D&D. That's funny. DST says, I've lived alone for years, so I've learned to deal with Australian giant spiders alone. Yeah, spiders don't bother me either, but I've never saw Australian-sized spiders. Like, I think that would freak me out a bit. There you go, Cherokee. Cherokee says, DSD, want us to write a note for your boss? Ruth Carroll says, I get along with horses, cows, and big dogs. I'm good with all of those, definitely. I grew up with horses in the Ozarks when I was little. We always had a ton. Pippadot says, oh, I get it, millennial, and same with snakes. Cherokee Girl says the note would say, please excuse DSD poor performance today. Up late socializing with cool people. And Stable says 1980, I feel you. It's the startle factor that freaks me out. Yeah, exactly. Like just whoa. Amos Hi-Fi says, I love mice. We currently have rats in the shed. The little effers got into our kitchen too. We blocked them now. We got 2 babies on Saturday. I want to keep them. They are honestly so adorable, but like whenever they're just unexpected, it's what gets me. Pippadot says, a bat got in my house. I can only cry and scream. I don't know how to get him out. Oh, Lord, is he in there now? Might have to just open all the windows at night or something. Yeah. Maria says, I have turkeys, ducks, and chickens, but I want more. Oh, yeah, I love Maria's channel. Her animals are awesome, y'all. Shorty Pie says, oh, I remember your video about all the donkeys. Yeah, the mules are at our family farm, my grandpa's old place. Me too, Cherokee Girl. Me too. Oh, yeah, I can't remember exactly where Pippadot is, but growing up in the Ozarks, we have lots of caves in the Ozarks, and the bats would come out of the caves at night, and they don't see very good, and sometimes they'd fly like just right in the side of your head and stuff. They're funny. Oh man. Oh yeah, Cherokee Girl has a hedgehog. Hedgehog. It is so cute. Check out our channel to see the hedgehog, y'all. It's so fun. Oh, definitely Amos Hi-Fi. I always do the humane traps too, for sure. Kung Fu, if I had more than a yard in town, if I had any little acreage outside of town, I'd have that white little mule. Elizabeth G0266, thank you for being here, Elizabeth. She says, I am a city girl. There is nothing adorable about alley rats. Pippadot says, I'm in Illinois now. Oh, okay, cool. Cool. DSD says, 1980, where are you in the U.S.? I am currently in southern Oklahoma. I was born and raised in the Ozark Mountains in southwest Missouri, the same area where, Dee Dee and Gypsy Rose Blanchard were after Hurricane Katrina, where they got killed. That's why I was into that case. But yeah, that's where I'm from. But I'm currently in southern Oklahoma. I have been for the last 5 years. Maria says, oh my God, hedgehog, I'm going to have to look. Yes, it's adorable. So adorable. Shorty Pie says, I love our hedgehog. Reminds me of Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog was my favorite when I was younger. I was a little old for Sonic the Hedgehog cartoons, but I loved the Sega game, the Sonic Sega game. Okay. We are now on to the 11th now. I think I'll read this one and then go ahead and shut down for the day because we're getting on to 2 hours. Thank you, Kung Fu. Definitely, Maria. He's so cute. Amos says, hedgehogs are lush. I've not seen one for a long time, obviously. Yeah, they're adorable. Okay, so at 10:30 on the 11th, Mackenzie starts the text with, good morning, babe. Dom says, good morning, babe. What you doing? Mackenzie says, I'm just laying down still. I woke up early again. Dom says, I woke up like an hour ago. Mackenzie says, what you been doing? Dom says, not much, really. Mackenzie says, FaceTime? Dom says, I'm on the toilet. Oh, that was very couth of him, considering he's usually like, I'm taking a shit. Mackenzie says, okay, after. Dom says, how many weeks in are the plants? Mackenzie says, let me check. June 3rd is the first pick of the plants. They were sprouts. So maybe a little after June 3rd. I mean, before. Dom says, okay, cool. What you doing? Mackenzie says, watching Netflix. Dom says, read a book, you fucking R-word. Wow. Then Dom says, I'm JK. Can you come make me some breakfast, though? Mackenzie says, you want me to come over? Dom says, only if you can make some good breakfast. Mackenzie says, depends on what you want, baby. What color shorts should I wear? Navy, blue, pink, or gray? Dom says, navy blue. Mackenzie says, okay, bet. But what you want for breakfast, babe? Then she says, can you FaceTime me? Dom says, I made an egg sandwich. I'm good now. Mackenzie says, ... Where did you go? Dom says, I was outside shooting the ball. And that is the end of their text on the 11th. Trying to see how long. The 12th doesn't go on very long. I'm going to go ahead and read that too real quick because this is weird. At 10:24 on the morning of the 12th, Mackenzie texts and says, morning, my nose is bruised. Dom says, tough. Good morning, babe. Isn't that weird? Like, she, from what I can see, never says why it's bruised. Anyway. Mackenzie says, how do you sleep, Bab? Dom says, good, babe. Mackenzie says, honestly, same. This is the first good night's sleep in a while. I'm so fucking itchy, though. Dom says, my bumps are getting a little better now. Mackenzie says, you are so cute. I had to drive past your house and I seen my babe reading. Dom says, LOL, my bracelet broke too. Mackenzie says, I want you to fix mine. Dom says, it just broke. Mackenzie says, so did mine last night. Dom says, I don't know if I can fix mine. I know I seen yours on my dresser. Then mine broke right after. Mackenzie says, how did yours break? Dom says, the string came off the thing that holds it. Mackenzie says, oh shit. Dom says, I know, right? I liked it too. Mackenzie says, we should just get better bracelets that we can twin with. You so cute. I just seen you again. Dom says, you are so cute. I think that's one of the first times I've seen him say that to her. Mackenzie says, what you doing, baby? Dom says, chilling at the crib. Might slide to Jared's real quick. Mackenzie says, what y'all about to do? It's not nice out today at all. I can't even tan. Dom says, I got to drop him some, but I might drive B there too. Mackenzie says, that sounds fun. I'm hungry AF right now too. Dom says, yeah, I could use some food too. Mackenzie says, I want to hang today at some point. Babe, are you sure you gave me Kristen, Kyle, and Chris money? Dom says, I had it separately from my money, then gave it. Mackenzie says, that's what I thought. My mom literally misplaced it. Dom says, yeah, I remember giving it to you. If she didn't get it, you misplaced it. Mackenzie said, exactly. I remember that too. What are you doing? I'm on my way to the beach. Babe, who's at your house with the white car? Dom says, I don't know. I'm not home. What kind of car? Mackenzie says, think. White Volkswagen, I think. Dom says, probably Chris's friend Alex. Mackenzie says, oh, what you doing right now, baby? Dom says, I'm at Jared's, about to leave soon. Mackenzie says, me and Maddie got hella food. Dom says, from where? Let me get some. Mackenzie says, snacks. We on the way to the beach, babe. Dom says, oh, okay. Mackenzie says, it's going to be fun AF. Hey, baby, what are you doing? This is almost 3 hours later from the it's going to be fun AF. Dom says, I'm just chilling right now. Mackenzie says, same. You want to hang tonight? Dom says, yeah, let me go to Trevor's first. Mackenzie says, okay, bet. I'm still with Maddie. Dom says, I never even went to Trevor's. What you doing now? Mackenzie says, I'm on my way home right now. I can come over when I'm home. I want to cuddle. Dom says, maybe. I think I'm going to play some 2K though. Mackenzie says, I'll watch. Dom says, maybe. Mackenzie says, no, yes, babe. Dom says, I love you so much, babe. Mackenzie says, I love you too, baby. You're so sweet. What you doing now? Dom says, I might go match with my cousin. Mackenzie says, which one? I need to shower. I was in the lake today, but I want to hang with you after. Dom says, Ryan. Mackenzie says, can I come? It's okay if not. I guess not. Dom says, sorry, I was driving there. Mackenzie says, that happened the night we were there. Oh, that goes into another day. And it's another short day. I'm just going to read it too, because that's weird. So their last text was, sorry, I was driving there, Dom, on the 12th. And then at 12:40 in the afternoon the next day, Mackenzie says, that happened the night we were there. Dom says, damn, for real, they got robbed? Mackenzie says, yep. Dom says, that's wild. Mackenzie says, now I can't get the cute little rig. What you doing today? I want to hang. Dom says, stopping at Kyle's, and I'm going to go home and chill with Blair for a little. Mackenzie says, do you want to chill after you with Blair? Dom says, yeah. Mackenzie says, okay, yay. What's up now? Questions? This giving me bad vibes. I don't know why. Dom says, you can come over. I've been doing a lot of stuff. Mackenzie says, okay, bet. On my way. And that's the end of their 13th text. But pretty much if Dom lets her hang out, they don't fight. He has to give up all of his time to not fight. Good night, DSD. Thank you for being in here. We're going to go ahead and shut down the live pretty soon as I go through chats. And tomorrow we'll start on the 14th. Stacia 001 says, y'all must have sent up some prayers for me back from the doctor with meds, feeling better already. Thank you, friends in the chat. Awesome, Stacia. You're welcome. So happy for you. Mothership says, yeah, Kung Fu, they were into organic cooking. I'm waiting to see that, honestly, because they talk about making mozzarella sticks and like all kinds of, just regular crap stuff. Maria's only in says, Cherokee girl, I signed up. Show me the hedgehog. It happens, Amos. No worries. Kung Fu says, they cook? Oh, yeah. From what we understand, they start cooking a lot later on. But yeah, we're still in 2020 and they're mostly eating Chick-fil-A, Raising Cane's. When they do cook, they're talking about making just kind of crap, Oops, I hope you figured that out, Amos. Amos was having a hard time hearing me a while back. Ruth says, I like the music to Sonic the Sega game. My son played it. Me too. DSD says, thanks for the chat, guys. Yeah, thanks for being here. McCatherine said, gotta head to the VA. See y'all later. And we lost Cherokee Girl. Says, okay, I have to go. We had a good time as always. Hell yeah. I think we all had a pretty good sense of timing here. We were winding down with the live just as everyone needed to start leaving. Rainbow says, amazing news, Stacia. Rainbow says organic, meaning weed or... Yeah, like I said, I keep hearing that towards the end of things, closer to the crash, that they did a lot of cooking together and were really, really strict about their diet. Stacia says there's a real pretty lady, probably in her 30s, reading all of them as well. She is on the month of the crash. Oh, cool. I'll have to check that out. I don't think I've seen her. Well, I will go ahead and end it here. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me for a couple hours this morning. Hope everyone has a good day. And if I'm feeling good, we'll see you back here tomorrow. Have a good day, friends.